I gotta get into the national anthem. We all know what's been happening. We don't need a backstory. If you've been living under a rock for the last 2 weeks, I'm sorry. Go on ESPN, read Sports Illustrated, watch Philip DeFranco, educate yourself. But there are two huge issues in the NFL. Number one is the protesting of police brutality. And number two is the kneeling. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, Jacob, those are one and the same. They're protesting police brutality by kneeling. It's the wrong way to do it. There is no doubting that the way minorities are treated in this country by police is horrible. The list goes on and on and on. And in an industrialized country like this, it is inexcusable. But the idea that you're going to kneel for the national anthem to protest it is wrong. And it was started by a smart guy, Colin Kaepernick. Guy's a BA in business management from the University of Nevada. He's a smart guy. But when it comes to this, he's a moron. That's not how you raise awareness for police brutality. Because, be honest, is anyone talking about police brutality right now? We're all talking about the flag. We're all talking about desecrating the flag and the military. No one is talking about police brutality. So the idea that this has raised awareness for the way minorities are treated is nonsense. I hate hearing it. It's not the way you do it. If you wanted to do it, Colin Kaepernick is donating $100,000 a month to different charities. And good for him. Good for Colin Kaepernick for doing that. But do it to charities that will make a difference for police brutality. If you wanted to make a difference in this world, start the Colin Kaepernick Foundation. You go around to different police academies and you educate them on the proper way to deal with minorities. Because it's horrible the way that they are treated in this country. It is absolutely abhorrent. And in reality, I'll never know it. I will never know the feeling of walking down the street, passing a cop, and not knowing if I'm going to live or die. It's a legitimate concern for minorities in this country. And it is horrible. And it needs to be stopped. But you don't stop it by kneeling. If you want to make a difference, Colin Kaepernick, I'm talking to you directly. By the way, you need to pick up your free plane ticket to Cuba. I can't keep pushing the date back. My credit card company thinks I'm crazy. But if you want to make a difference, here's what you do. It's really, really simple. You're an NFL quarterback. You were good last year. You actually played pretty darn well. 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions for a lousy 49ers team. Good job. I give you a lot of credit. That's not easy. The idea that you would make a difference by kneeling is nonsense. And you had to know that because, again, you're a smart guy. You start the Colin Kaepernick Foundation. Go around to different charities. Go around to different police stations and say, we want to educate you on the proper way to deal with minorities. There's something called minority outreach, which means that police precincts will go out to the community and they'll reach out to minorities and try to recruit them. They need an infusion of minorities in the police because we've all seen, remember the Ferguson thing? It came out that it was like, it's a majority African-American city, but the vast majority of cops were Caucasian. That's wrong. You need an infusion of minorities in the police. Or at the very least, you need to know how to treat them better. And it's just nonsense, the way that it's done. It is a valid concern, the way that minorities are treated in this country by police. But the idea that you're going to do it by kneeling for the national anthem, for desecrating the flag, is 100% wrong. Look at all the people that you have ticked off. You want to talk about divisive rhetoric from the president? Look at your team. Your team is not united. Whoop-de-doo. Yesterday, the Bears and the Packers all linked arms. Congratulations. What about the Steelers? What about Alejandro Villanueva taking a brave stance for this country and not caring what other people thought of him? He was gonna stand for the national anthem, and there was nothing anyone could do about it. And you know what? I applaud him for it. I really do. He fought for this country. He knows what the flag means. And it was so great to see that. And you know what? The fact that we have people kneeling for this flag, kneeling on this country, is sickening to me. It is revile. It needs to stop. It makes me want to vomit. I hate hearing it. It's nonsense. I've spent the first 7 minutes of this show just about talking about politics. I want to talk about sports. Instead, I have to deal with Colin Kaepernick, Marcus Peters, Marshawn Lynch, and Michael Bennett acting like morons. That's not how you make change in this country. By kneeling for the flag. I hate hearing it. I hate seeing it. It's nonsense. It is utter nonsense. You're desecrating the flag that people have died for. They fought for your right to do that. Don't you realize that you are committing hate speech? That's what it is. It's wrong. The First Amendment argument is valid. You have a right to kneel for the national anthem. You do. You absolutely have that right. But I have the right to say that you're crazy. I have the right to disagree with it immensely. You have a right to commit hate speech in this country. Look at Skokie. If Nazis can protest in a majority Jewish town, then you can kneel for the anthem. That's fine. That's both hate speech. It's one and the same. So the idea that this is a free speech argument, you know, it is allowed in the Constitution. You can commit hate speech. But you do have the right to be censored for it. And you know what? God bless Donald Trump for saying what he said, that the owner should take a stand and fire any player who kneeled. I 100% agree with him. I said if Colin Kaepernick was a Jet, I wouldn't watch the games. And you know what? There are restaurants now that won't put on the games. There are people canceling their NFL Sunday ticket, their NFL Red Zone. They're not watching the games, they're not going to the games. You heard the boos on Sunday night with the Cowboys when they kneeled. It was utter nonsense. The fans don't want to see this. Make political statements on your own time, not when you're on the clock in a team's uniform. That's not the right time to do it. LeBron James posing on the cover of Sports Illustrated with a safety pin, that's fine. He's not on the clock. He's not in uniform. He's not playing basketball. But for the national anthem, when you're on the clock, when you're in your team's uniform, that's not the right time to interject your political views. It's wrong. Do it on your own time. God bless President Trump for saying what he said, for standing up what he believes in. If we want people in this country to respect the players' right to say what they feel, to kneel for the anthem, we need to respect President Trump's right to say what he thinks. The president has a right to free speech. He didn't forfeit that when he became president. He's allowed to express his views. President Trump saying what he said was so ridiculous. He thought that was going to stop it. You created a common enemy. I have never seen the NFL and the NFLPA agree on something before. They all agreed that President Trump should keep his mouth shut. That was amazing to see. Like, in all seriousness, guys, I know you're looking at me like I really want to jump in here, but I can't. Isn't that nuts that the NFL and the NFLPA agreed on something? When was the first time you saw that, right? You never saw it.
That was the first time I've seen it.
So, President Trump should have kept his mouth shut. But he does have a right to say what he thinks. He does have a right to say, fire the SOB. And I don't know if I can say the full word. I don't know. Sean, can I say it?
No.
I can't say it? Okay, I won't. I didn't. I did not say it. But it's abhorrent to me that people are disagreeing with the president's right to express his views. He's allowed to say it. He's allowed to say what he feels. He's a man. He's afforded the same rights as everyone else. So, I mean, you know what? I've spent 10 minutes on this. It's out of my system. I told people I was going to interject my views on the anthem. I totally agree with the president, what he said. I disagree with the kneeling 100%. It is not protesting police brutality. If you want to protest police brutality, start a minority outreach program or go to various police academies and educate them on how to deal with minorities. That's the way you do it. And the fact that no one else has said that, especially someone with a BA in business management, Colin Kaepernick, is sickening to me. Okay, out of my system. Number to call if you have something on your mind is 516-572-7440. Phone lines are open now. I'm sure there are people who want to talk. Dominic and Eric, you know what? I've gone on for 10 minutes, or 11 minutes actually. Whatever you guys want to talk about now, go ahead. I'll shut up.
You know, honestly, you kind of hit the nail on the head, and I'm going to be a little personal here. I was really thinking about going into the Army for a while. I had family that was serving in the military. I had family that served in World War II. And to me, I'm just thinking about, yes, it is technically free speech. It really is.
Speech. And hate speech is free speech. I'm sorry, I said I'd shut up.
No, it's okay. It's still the First Amendment right to free speech. You can agree or disagree. But I don't need, especially when I'm watching football, to get away from political stuff. Because I'm not really a huge fan of political stuff. I mean, like, obviously, I voted. I'm not going to get too political, but I, was in the voting process also. But I don't need a play-by-play of how many Raiders are sitting on the bench. I want to be there for, watching a football game, to get away from everything, because that's what sports does.
Yeah.
Sports gets, especially like baseball, football, basketball, hockey, anything. I mean, like, we're all Islander fans here. We have different views on baseball, football, basketball especially. I don't need it to get political. I'm just there to watch the game. I don't need anything else in there but like that. And I'm honestly thinking, especially in terms of football, Pat Tillman.
Yeah.
Obviously he went out in a horrible, horrible way.
If I can interject something, and I know I said I'd shut up, may I?
No, go ahead, yeah.
Okay. There were people saying that Pat Tillman would have 100% agreed with this. It doesn't matter if Pat Tillman agreed with it. It doesn't matter if your brother, your uncle, your father, your sister, whoever agreed with it. There are people who served in the Army that disagree with it. So a Vietnam veteran called Mike Francesa a couple days ago and said that he disagrees with it. There are people in the Army that disagree with it. You can find one or two outliers, but I'm sure that the vast majority agree that kneeling for the flag is wrong. It's not protesting police brutality. That's the point I'm making. If you want to protest police brutality, you start a minority outreach program where you go to police academies and say, this is how to better treat us. Because the reality is, Caucasian people die from police too. They do. We're not immune from it. It's just done at a much lesser rate, and it doesn't get as much coverage, which is a whole issue in and of itself. Go ahead.
And I don't mean to get like a little emotional about the military, but like I come from a military family per se. Like my grandpa was in Korea, so I understand what it means to, and he was a Marine, so I understand what it means to serve your country and serve your flag. And in all seriousness, I would rather you lock arms and stand up than kneel.
I agree with you. And
you know what? What LaShawn McCoy did, just continue stretching during the national anthem on the field. I don't know if either one of you saw that.
I saw that, yeah.
See
now...
And apart, I'm sorry to keep going, but like...
No, go ahead, I did too.
Like Landon Collins, Damon Harrison, and someone else on the Giants, on my own team too.
In New York.
Where you can get ridiculed for breathing the wrong way.
The site of the biggest terrorist attack in this country's history.
See, like, that's the thing. Like, do you remember when the NFL season opened up last year on 9/11?
Yes.
And Colin Kaepernick was kneeling?
I went to Jet opening day that year. Yeah.
Sports is just a getaway. I keep going back to that, and I don't...
You're 100% right. Do it on your own time. Don't do it on company time.
I get the whole protest thing. I understand. You can hate Donald Trump. You can appreciate Donald Trump. You can be indifferent. I don't care.
If I was going to the supermarket to buy groceries, it's my right to wear a shirt with a swastika on it. But if I'm here doing this, I can't do that. I need to adhere to a dress code. It's the same thing. That's what people don't get. Companies have the right to limit your free speech. And these NFL teams are companies. They are businesses. Don't let them tell you they're not. You all hear owners talk about the bottom line.
It's a brand.
You're 100% right, Eric.
Just like the American flag. It's a brand.
It is a brand.
We're representing, America as a whole. Granted, this country needs change. It's obvious. It's 100% obvious. It's been that way for a very, very long time. There was stuff in America's past that we're probably not particularly proud of, but you have to move past that, and the only way to do that is, honestly, in unison and together. Like, that's all I'm going to leave off with.
Dominic, I know you've been quiet. You don't have to talk about the anthem if you don't want to, but I want to give you the opportunity to say whatever you want.
Well, I mean, pretty much with me is, it's kind of a hard situation, and personally, I don't really like talking politics, so I'm probably like.
So then don't talk about whatever you want.
I'm not gonna really share my opinion on it, to be honest.
Okay.
But I mean, I will admit I